Welcome to this presentation on socialism, the last of our political viewpoints that we are looking at in this course. In this presentation, we will cover 5 aspects of socialism: of the idea that people are social beings, equality of condition, government-owned and planned economy, revolutionary change, and a utopian society. So the background of socialism, first of all, the key idea here is economic equality. A government-owned and planned economy where the government manages economic resources on behalf of the people. Socialism is not communism. It is the economic component of a political system known as communism, but it's important for us to separate those two concepts and talk about socialism for what it is on its own. This concept emerged in the 1800s as a response to industrialization and the poor working conditions that resulted from industrialization. Some of the more important thinkers, the key thinkers of socialism, are Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and in America, Eugene V. Debs. So socialism begins with the idea that people are social beings. We've been talking about this concept for some time now. In the socialist construct, they believe that human nature is subject to change, that people are a product of their environment. Again, negative environment produces negative results, positive environment produces positive results. And they believe that the bad in people is a result of environment and is not innate. The people do not have responsibility for their own actions and their own behaviors, but rather it is responsibility of the environment within which they live. So socialists argue for equality of condition. This is the most extreme form of equality. Other viewpoints have argued for equality in varying degrees. Socialists take it all the way to the end of the conversation, which is essentially equality of condition or equality of result. Socialists argue that people are united in equality by their common humanity, that essentially the common humanity that we share unites us in equality, and that should be our pursuit. And they believe that with proper institutional structures, people can achieve complete equality with each other, or what we call equality of condition. Um, and in this construct, socialists would argue that government demands that citizens contribute according to their abilities, and government meets the needs of each person. So to get to this result of equality of condition, government must demand that citizens contribute according to their abilities, that people use their abilities on behalf of the society, and then government will make sure that everything is equitably distributed, that the needs of each person are met. Now, you'll notice that the 5 aspects of socialism do not include freedom, because socialists recognize that you cannot create equality of condition alongside of freedom. And they are comfortable with abandoning freedom to achieve the higher goal for them, which is equality of condition. So socialists would argue for a government-owned and planned economy. The government should own the means of production, direct ownership of large industries, and or cooperative ownership by workers of individual businesses. But nothing will be owned in the socialist construct by individuals for individual profit. Now, to accomplish this, there has to be a tremendous expansion of government power. Government must remake social and economic structures on behalf of society, and government must establish a centrally owned and planned economy. So we have seen modern liberals begin arguing for government intervention. We have seen democratic socialists take that to another level with intervention to remove unjust disparities in wealth. And now we are seeing the extreme government expansion of power, government intervention to actually becoming the owners of economic resources and essentially owning and planning the entire economy. So in order to accomplish this essentially owned and planned economy, this equality of condition, um, socialists argue that revolutionary change is necessary. They don't argue gradual change. They don't argue democratic change like the democratic socialists argue. They don't argue for accepting a reasonable amount of progress like the modern liberals will argue. And they certainly don't argue the invisible hand of free market capitalists. What they argue is revolutionary change. Equality of condition, in their view, can only be achieved through radical revolutionary change. So you'll often hear socialists using the terminology of revolution, overthrowing what exists and creating something entirely new. The result of all of this, according to socialists, would be the creation of a utopian society. We have seen other views on progress stop when it comes to utopia and argue that there are limitations on how much we can perfect society. Socialists argue there are no limitations. If we head down this path of equality of condition, we will get a utopian society when each person contributes according to their abilities and each person's needs are met. A utopian society will result. That is the socialist position. That is the socialist goal. That is their aspiration. That is their objective. Karl Marx and Eugene V. Debs did a good job of explaining socialism. As I've already said, what Karl Marx said, and I've said it different ways, from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs. That's kind of the central quote of socialist thinking. Um, Eugene V. Debs, an American socialist who ran for president several times, said, quote, "I am opposing a social order in which it is possible for one man who does absolutely nothing that is useful to amass a fortune of hundreds of millions of dollars, while millions of men and women who work all the days of their lives secure barely enough for a wretched existence." So in this quote from Eugene Debs, we see the idea of um, profit and individuals amassing wealth and disparities in wealth being unacceptable. And essentially, we have to um, overthrow that system that allows that to occur and to create a new system in which government intervenes and insists on and mandates that people participate and that people's needs are met. And they centrally own and centrally control and plan the society that makes that equality of condition happen. This is a very famous statue, The Worker and the Coal Cost Woman, by an artist named Vera Mukina. And she did this statue in 1937. She's a Russian. And the statue is a depiction of what we call socialist realism. And the idea here is that the statue is attempting to show the eternal union of the working class and the peasantry. You know, notice the man is holding up a hammer. He is a representative of the working class. And the woman's holding up a sickle. She's representative of the peasantry. And the idea is that the industrial workers and the agricultural workers are coming together in an eternal union in which they are forming a new and better society, a socialist society. And the concept here is that the attempt is to embody the freedom hoped to be achieved through socialism. The idea is that when you bring these people together and you unite them together and create this new society, there's going to be a freedom that can only be achieved through socialism. And that's very interesting to understand the complexity of that. Obviously, socialist countries don't tend to be free. They don't tend to be, they don't tend to end up with the embodiment that they are projecting here. But the statute certainly suggests what we want to understand about socialism, the idea of the workers taking control, rising up, coming together, and creating what they saw to be the opportunity for a better world. So in this presentation on socialism, we have looked at uh, the 5 aspects of socialism, the idea that people are social beings influenced by their environment, not individuals, the idea of equality of condition as an objective, as a reachable goal, the idea of a government-owned and planned economy to um, establish equality of condition, the idea of the need for revolutionary change to accomplish these things, and the bold optimism of the result of a utopian society if equality of condition is achieved. Some things to think about with regard to socialism. First of all, just as a general concluding comment here, was recognize that there is a socialist party in America and it's been existing for a number of years now. But we should note that socialists are not running candidates or having viable people to become candidates for political office so much. They are a strong voice, and they certainly present a concept that many people are thinking about. It's a very important part of the conversation. But for our purposes here, we want to think about several things about socialism. What are the strengths of socialism? What are the weaknesses of socialism? And are you a socialist? Why or why not?